Central Philippine University has a long, illustrious history.
I remember that was August 2003, where I was chosen by my English teacher after performing in front of him and another teacher. I just really thought it was a school project, but I was told that I'll be representing our department for a university competition, and I think that sprouted my love for arts. Central Philippine University had been my home from nursery up to college, wherein I finished 2 degrees. The first one is Bachelor of Science in Nursing, which is for my parents, and Bachelor of Arts major in Mass Communication, which is now for myself. This holds a significant role in my life because this university had been my training ground to be a performer, then amateur writer, and eventually a trainer as well. I think this spanned for 15 years and pushed me to seek for further knowledge and research about the effects of performing arts in a person's life. So in the month of September, we have this annual celebration called University Day, where each college and school are competing against each other. And that's where I got to be introduced with poetry choir and character interpretation. So just for everyone to know, poetry choir is composed of 30 students plus a conductor and conductress, and you perform 2 literary pieces. The first one is the university piece, and the second one that's called the chosen piece. In 2012, I was tapped by the College of Nursing to help them, but I initially said no because I have no experience, and at the same time, as an introvert, a group really scares me. But I think I started with the Maguindanao Massacre as the theme. It's entitled, Justicia, which means justice in English, and it talks about the gruesome effect of greed for political power. The wounds were still fresh during that time, and I just tried to submerge myself. Like, what if I was one of the victims? What if I was one of the families of these victims and I haven't gotten the justice? So this is my way to call about the poor justice system. And I just remember that I was bawling in tears after the performance, and I had goosebumps because one of the judges made a standing ovation, and I was able to utter to myself, okay, Lord, maybe this is something for me. 2013 would have to be my most favorite one because for a number of reasons, but I think the main reason behind that is the fact that I was able to make a literary piece called Baliw Aliw. So Baliw means mad or crazy. Aliw is entertaining. I just base it on my personal experience with mentally ill patients. A lot of people are scared about them, and I just want to delve in further to what led them to be that. So I was able to talk to professionals about this, and the common reasons that they told me were family, money problems, and love. Also, I was just so happy that we were able to resonate a message to the audience of redemption culture. I think mentally ill individuals deserve to live a normal life again. Subsequently, the piece was able to be used for a national poetry card contest, wherein again, we emerged victorious. In 2014, I was able to write a literary piece about love, but a super typhoon happened in the Philippines, which was more heartbreaking. You know, when you live in the middle part of the Philippines where I'm coming from, typhoon is like a normal thing for us. I know it's not a good thing to say, but it is what it is. So that's where I based the literary piece entitled Yolanda, which was the name of the super typhoon at that time. By this time, I tried to change my strategy. What if Yolanda was a woman who caused massive destruction towards Filipinos who became homeless and traumatized at the same time? There was definitely an outpour of intense emotions because a lot of lives have been taken away, and I'm very glad that we were able to give that message. Also, another achievement was we got the Best Conductors Award, which was first time to be given. I was in a difficult situation in my life. I used that emotion to write a literary piece entitled 7 Last Words, which was inspired with the story of Jesus dying on the cross. I mean, as a kid who grew up in a Christian community with my father being a preacher and my mom being a devoted Christian, I just simply tap into my roots. I think also this time there was a rising uproar and fear about ISIS, who were beheading Christians because of religion. I think this is why I was able to create on the last part of the performance, wherein the antagonist was asking the protagonist, are you willing to risk your life for the sake of your faith? And I think that would be one of the best poetry choir moments in my life. And that's actually also the reason why we were invited to perform on a citywide student leader conference to give inspiration to the young ones. Throughout the years, I think all of the literary pieces I've done were too dramatic and was kind of heavy for me and the performers as well. So I tried to switch up a little bit by trying to have a kind of fun theme. So that's why Buhay Estudyante, or Life of a Student in English, came to life. So it was just a compilation of like first day of school, budding romances between classmates, your terror teachers, and funny instances wherein you have exam questions which have not been really discussed. The funny things. And I think the surprise that really came within the performance was people actually thought that it was just like showing a life of a student, but I made sure that it was also a tribute to teachers because I owe a lot to them. My parents are also teachers, so this was a good way to give something special for them. I've always been yearning to write something about patriotism. That's why in 2017, Inang Bayan, or Motherland, came into life. There was a representation between a mother and children. So the mother was obviously Philippines and the children were the citizens. It just revolves on the theme unconditional love because, sometimes even if mothers are being disrespected, neglected, or ignored, which is not a good thing, by the way, they are there and they will always be there for you. Oh. I'm just happy that we were able to give that message towards the audience because this also speaks in volume to people who should not really forget their roots. At this year, I was just like, I'm done. I do not want to train anymore. I've already given everything to poetry choir. But 2018, I was still tapped to help. But this time it's a junior high school where I technically started being a performer. There was no doubt in my mind that for the last year or the year before I retire being a trainer, the literary piece would be about poetry choir. So it was entitled Hashtag for the Lord, which was my trademark in sharing my talent for the glory of God. It was just so fun. It was very snappy and explorative as well. Also, I was very glad that we were able to get the Best Conductress Award again, which was the second time it was given throughout the competition. On the following year, I just shed a tear because I was invited by the committee to be one of the judges. I mean, looking back at the transition between a performer, then a trainer, and now being a judge, it was just something special. Aside from writing, poetry choir is also a platform for me to experiment on concepts, headpieces, outfits, props, lights, sounds, and even choreography. I think it is very essential that you offer variety each year. And it's also important for you to study the audience. So the next art that I'd like to introduce is called character interpretation. So unlike impersonation, character interpretation dives in further to the subject, trying to go to a different realm or dimension, looking at the other side of the story. One example would be the literary piece I've written about Annabelle. So Annabelle is the doll in Conjuring, and I made a story about her that what if she was a lady before who got played? I think I remember that the audience was really reacting to her that time because she kept on pointing out that a boy does not play with dolls, basically saying that a true man does not play with a woman's emotions. So this love for character interpretation soared to a greater height when I was given a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to represent my country in an international competition in the World Association of Performing Arts. It was held in Yerevan, Armenia last 2018, wherein I was awarded first place in the acting category and eventually an overall champion. The piece was about a mentally ill patient, which depicts about the effect of trauma in a person's life and how often they feel alone and unloved. It also became the bridge for me to receive an elusive presidential award from the National Commission for Culture and the Arts under the Dramatic Arts category called Ani ng Dangal or Harvest of Honors, becoming the first recipient in my university. So all in all, I think my aesthetic really revolves on tapping into my personal experiences, environment, and trying to tackle on social and relevant issues, which I hope to not only share in the Philippines but in the United Kingdom as well. As a communications graduate, I always share to other people that stage performances are like delivering news, but creatively.